Hey friends, you're listening to the AI Entrepreneurs Podcast, where we talk tools, stories, and strategy for today's founders. I'm your host, Angelina Shively, and this show is for entrepreneurs who are curious about AI and want to know how to transform their businesses. In each episode, I share honest conversations about what's working, what's not, and the lessons learned along the way. If you're ready to use AI to save time, think bigger, and build smarter, you're in the right place. Let's go. Okay, I'm so excited to have Clay Lehman here with real estate and being able to talk about your amazing experience with AI and entrepreneurship. Clay, will you just start by telling us a little bit about your business and what you have going?
Sure. As you mentioned, I'm in real estate, and I have been for about the last 20 years in different capacities. My most recent venture in the real estate world is starting a title company in 2021, and then the most recent thing is getting into doing some online coaching and digital products for real estate professionals. So I don't know, I've been all over the map with real estate, and I feel like what's evolved out of it is just the opportunity to share the mistakes I've made in the few areas where I did make a mistake. And
Learning opportunities,
exactly,
right?
that's right. There are no mistakes. So I've had a lot of learning opportunities. I enjoy sharing them with other people. I was really fortunate. My dad, he was an amazing manager of people and he was really great at developing people. And so I benefited from one personally, the development that he helped me with. All his development that I went through was a little harsher than what I saw him share with his employees. No, he was great. He's a great guy. And so I learned a lot about, helping people kind of learn and develop and all that good stuff. So that's what I love doing.
And how did you get started with AI? How did that look for you?
I remember my brother talked to me about it a little bit, like right as it was first emerging. He's always been on kind of the front end of like tech adoption. But I remember talking to him about it. I just didn't understand what it was or how it would help. And not too long after that, I went to a conference and I saw two gentlemen speak, and one of them showed a video of how he had created a fake title company for demonstration purposes, not for fraudulent purposes,
Sure.
but fake title company for Snoop Dogg. And it was one hilarious, but also very eye opening about how AI spurs creativity. And then the other person I saw speak, he used the AI voice mode on his phone. And I hadn't even logged into ChatGPT. So to see this guy talking with his phone, I was like, this guy's a wizard. I mean, certainly I had seen, talking with Siri and all that good stuff, or Siri, but he was like legit having a real conversation of back and forth where each party was delivering value to the other. I was sold. I was hooked. And so as soon as I got back to the office from that conference, I dove deep and I haven't looked back since. And so that was kind of the way it got started.
Awesome. And, I have been able to watch your journey and know you from Jonathan Mass Group and see that, you kind of put your mind, we started in similar times. It's been maybe about a year that you've had your Facebook group and it has exploded. So tell us a little bit about, you started that group and then what evolved from there.
Sure. So that was all from, Jonathan's encouragement. I connected with him maybe 18 months, 2 years ago. And he had been telling me one of the things in our mastermind that encouraging us to start Facebook groups. And for whatever reason, the day I took action was December 25th of 2025. So Christmas Day, I guess we got done opening presents and I thought, it's time to start the Facebook group.
Right.
So I launched the group, and it was, again, sort of in line with how Jonathan tells you it's going to be pretty slow at first, but then it started gaining traction. And what drives growth in the group is by sharing value. But you have to, this is true whether you're trying to grow a group or your own personal audience, you have to go out to where the people are. You can't expect them to just randomly find you. So I started a daily habit of posting in group that, the groups where my client congregated. Russell Brunson in his, can't remember, he got the three books that are Expert Secrets, Traffic Secrets, and .com Secrets. Those are such great books. And in one of them, or maybe in all of them, he talks about the Dream 100 concept, which, where as it relates to what we're talking about, is someone has already congregated your audience. He used the
Right.
example of when he was in college, which was maybe early internet. People were on chat groups or whatever in or in AOL, and he said he noticed one night when he was in study hall, he was on this wrestling, he was an amateur wrestler, and everyone in there was on the mat.com. Wait a minute. If everyone in here is individually on this app or this site, that means other people are on this site. And it just crystallized for him that he doesn't necessarily have to be the one that congregates the group. He just has to get access to where that group is congregated. And so what I did was I found where my ideal client, which is, busy entrepreneurs and real estate professionals, find where they were congregated and then start value to those groups. And that's another key factor is you don't go in and say, "Hey, I'm Clay, come join me. This is what I
Right.
offer." No, you go in and you say, is anybody else using ChatGPT for this? Or is anybody else found this solution? Or, hey, here's a shortcut I came up with. And I'm not asking you for anything. I'm just giving you this value. And over time, people become curious about, this guy seems to share interesting information. Let me follow him. Or, let me see his profile. And then the next step in your process, and I call it my breadcrumb like groups. I leave little breadcrumbs. The first one is going into the group and adding value. And then the second breadcrumb is when you click on my name and come to my profile, my what do you call that? The banner image. So not my profile picture, but the banner image or whatever, Facebook
Right.
cover photo.
Cover photo. Yeah.
It's not just like me or me and my kids who I love very much, but it's invites people further in. You know, marketing, which this is effectively a component of marketing. And I'm sorry, I've gone off on a whole
No,
tangent.
that's perfect. I think that's really great advice because people need to know those skills of like, how do you authentically engage in a group and provide
And
value?
so
That's great.
marketing is nothing more than trying to move someone from where they are to where you want them to be. And it's just like giving them directions. You have to get them from one point to another. And at every point, to tell them what is the next step we need to take. So I would, add the value in the group, and then they would click on my profile, and to tell them the next step I wanted them to take, my cover photo or whatever you call it says, for more tips, join my Facebook community. And then just over time, that's what started to grow the community. I also turned on, if anybody follows me, they get invited to the community and things of that nature. And then over time, also just started adding value to the community so that hopefully people will invite other people. And yeah, we've had some pretty nice growth. And, but I'm, as any high achiever like you and the people I'm sure are listening, I want more and I want
Right.
faster. And it's, I'm spending this closing out of 2025, planning out how I'm going to continue to build momentum in 2026.
Awesome. And I noticed too that you do something that I think is so valuable is going live on Facebook once a week. And so can
Yep.
you tell us a little bit about how you came up with the idea to do that? And has that helped your business?
Yo, absolutely. So I'm sure the idea came from one of Jonathan's classes or something I was reading online or just observing other people. I don't come up with a lot of original ideas. I think what I do is just assimilate ideas fairly well. So anyways,
Absolutely.
I also knew, just knowing myself, that if I'm like, I'll put out some content every week, and I would do it week one and probably week two, but by week three, the whirlwind would have taken over and I would have forgotten. But if I make a commitment to others, I'll more likely honor it. So it was almost an accountability factor. So I
Okay.
just said every Thursday at 11 a.m., I'm going to record a Facebook Live. And I knew that would force me to, one, come up with content. It would give me an hour of video that I could chunk down, although I haven't done a great job of doing that. But it's been really great because it's been hit or miss in terms of the number of people that actually join live. But what I found, and this was what I found, it's funny that it surprised me considering it was the
Right.
exact same thing I found when I was posting content early and no one was engaging. I thought no one was engaging, but I'd see somebody out in the community and they'd say, "Oh, hey man, I love that stuff you're doing on Facebook." And I'm like, I mean, I thought this, I didn't say it. Obviously, all I said was, oh, thanks. But I would think to myself, you didn't like, comment, or share. But
Right.
what it was a reinforcement of the idea that just because people aren't engaging, quote unquote, doesn't mean they're not seeing it and then engaging, you know? And the
Right.
same thing proved to be true with my Facebook Lives. I would get off of Facebook Live and I'd be like, dang, man, it doesn't feel like anybody was out there. And then I would get messages or see people and they'd say, oh, hey, I love that stuff, or oh, that was such a great point, or whatever. The other
And I,
thing
I
I don't,
think that's really great advice because when people are getting started, it feels like it's like it's crickets and why am I doing this?
absolutely,
But and I know for me that word of the year for me is consistency. I
sure.
want to continue and like you said, over and over when that's repeated, you'll gain the traction once you are consistent.
That's exactly right. I mean, it's sort of, it becomes it's like a flywheel or whatever, where you kick it off and you have to get some momentum. But once it gets going, it becomes a little bit self-sustaining, which isn't to say there aren't highs and lows, you know,
Right.
but for sure, like knowing it really comes down to that kind of cliche of you got to trust the process. You know, Jonathan has told us and told me, if you just post consistently for a year, you're going to see returns. And I started and 90 days in was feeling like, is anyone out there? You know, my wife would like my posts and a couple other people might engage every once in a while, but it just felt like and then all of a sudden at day 90-ish, I was noticing, hey, I don't know that person that just commented or liked or whatever. And
Right.
then I started to see, you know, the membership pick up in the community. And, you know, it's definitely been a big shift from starting in basically December of last year, really call it January of this year, since that kind of when it really
Yeah.
started, to now, you know, engagement with people from all over the place that I don't know, and my audience is growing. I mean, I'm still figuring things out for sure. Like I'm, you know, trying to figure out exactly how do I deliver more value that people want to engage with, and frankly, value that people are willing to pay for, because that's ultimately
Sure.
where we want to get to, is making a business.
And was that one of the things that was one of your next steps? Tell us a little bit about you started a school community and worked on growing that.
So I just launched a school community on December 1st. And so I'm following, you know, again, in the idea of me not having tremendously original ideas, it's sort of the value ladder of a free community to a low community to hopefully a mid tier to kind of a, you know, cohorts, like really, really
Yes.
small, high value cohorts. I haven't gotten very far. I've launched my school community, kind of the low ticket item, as I shared with you before we started recording. I'm working through figuring out exactly how to create the content. I think one of the mistakes that I have made that I'm trying to rectify is jumping from sort of like, it's funny because it's one of those things that I teach people about when I'm coaching them one on one, which is you have to match your content, your asks, your call to action with where people are in the sales funnel. I think when I launched my community, I kind of jumped a stage. And so I'm kind of working backwards to backfill into the more of the kind of getting to know you stages with some more like some more valuable quick win type items. Cause where we launched the community was with some really, really, really valuable things, but it takes a lot of investment of time. And I haven't earned the right to ask people to invest that time, I think would be the way I would say it. So I think that's an important thing as you go to launch, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, the most important thing you can do is understand your audience. Actually, let me say that differently. That's the second most important thing. Very first, most important thing you do is take action. Take action that's messy, that's not ready, that's not perfect. Just take action and keep taking action over and over and over again. And then simultaneously work to understand your audience. That's the most important thing. And the thing that I can't say everybody loses track of, but I know for me at times, it's almost out of arrogance. I'm not an arrogant person, but I consider myself to, you know, be somebody that's experienced a lot in life and has some wisdom, etc. And the trap that leads me to is thinking I know what people need or want. And at times that's right. But more times than not, there's a disconnect between what I think and what's actually there. And there's never been an easier time to understand your audience. I mean, these tools will help us dig deep into the statistics of our audience, but we also have more ways than ever to connect with our audience. And so, that's something I'm trying to lean into more going into 2026.
And I love that about what you said, because I think so often as entrepreneurs, it is hard because it sometimes feels like we're making up things we have all these creative ideas and we want to bring them to the table, but it's like, what do people really need and want? And then also saying, hey, I tried this. It maybe didn't work in this format, but I love what you said earlier. You were like, I'm going to have some conversations about what maybe did I miss? And you used AI for that tool. And you were like, oh, let me go back and try this. So I
Yeah.
think it's not like
See,
you're not abandoning or failing. You're just refining and trying to figure out what works, which that can be difficult,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah. 100%.
So tell us just a little bit about, maybe your favorite AI tool that you're utilizing. And I think I want everyone to know that it's not necessarily about the tools, because the tools are going to come and go, but what are you doing to kind of change or transform your work with AI?
You definitely nailed it about the change, because one of the things I do when I teach anything whether it's in the community or my Facebook lives, is I emphasize to people that we're going to start by learning the fundamentals of whatever it is we're talking about today before we ever talk about tech, because tech changes and fundamentals stay the same. And so it's such a great observation that you need to focus not necessarily on the tool, but what you're trying to accomplish, and what is the fundamental behind what you're doing. So for me right now, if somebody were to ask me, look, I guess there's two ways I'd answer the question. One, if somebody's just getting started with AI and they're trying to figure out what tool to get started with, I always say I like the most versatile tools, which to me are either ChatGPT or Gemini, because they can brainstorm with you, they can create with you, they can write with you, they can create images for you. They have a more robust sort of application. If you are already comfortable in the Google Workspace environment, then I would lean heavily towards implementing Gemini because the integrations are so elegant. But if someone were to ask me, just, hey Clay, what's your kind of favorite tool right now? It's Google Notebook LM. And the reason for that is because it's a closed system, meaning, it doesn't bring in outside information, which can be an advantage when you're using chat or Gemini for brainstorming and things of that nature, but it can become a disadvantage when you're trying to use it for focused work on your business or on specific conversations or whatever. So it's a closed system. It only works off of what you teach it. But then the other thing is they've got these great studio tools where you can create amazing infographics, slide decks, audio overviews, which are effectively podcasts on your information, where it's two people talking about your info, video overviews, where it's like a faceless video of the information you fed it. There are so many things you can leverage out of Notebook LM. I love it.
And Clay, I'd like to have a little laugh, because you and I are pretty similar in a lot of ways with our ADHD baby and I like to call it, working on a timeline. And one of the things that I've discovered when I'm doing classes and presentations is I sometimes take a little bit of, you know, maybe taking a little bit longer than I should to do things and waiting to the last minute, let's say. That's kind of my MO. But that Google Notebook is amazing if you have to put together a presentation at the last minute, like a workshop that I did yesterday. And
Yeah,
it will come up with the most insane graphics that you can, and being able to like just chunk just a couple things and put it into slides is a game changer.
it's what I did on one of my Facebook lives. I wanted to demonstrate how great Notebook LM was. And I was like, how do I do that? And I go, I know what I'll do. I'll create my entire presentation using nothing but Notebook LM. I didn't even start with my own knowledge. I used the discover function to bring in the knowledge. Then I took the knowledge to create the presentation. Then I took the presentation to create the slide deck. Then I took the slide deck to create the infographic, and then created all my promotional materials from Notebook LM all in the same little chat. And it's what I kind of laughed about was I'm a procrastinator by nature, and a lot of times I'm finishing the presentation for my 11 a.m. Facebook lives at 10:55 a.m. And it's like Notebook LM, I can't decide if it is a benefit for someone like me or if it just So now instead of waiting till 8 a.m. to start working on my presentation, I can wait till 10 a.m. because it's so much
There
faster.
you go. Tip of the day. I love it. So if we
Exactly.
wanted to maybe watch you building that, notebook, where can people find you?
So I've got my Facebook community, which is, if you search for Unstuck AI, you'll find it. It's a little bit of a longer name. It's Unstuck AI for real estate and entrepreneurs or something like that. Unstuck AI is where we host our Facebook lives. And then I have my school community, which I can share the link with you. Maybe you could put that
Yep.
in, where people can come in and catch the replays and find our AI tools that we're building out and just all kinds of great resources.
Awesome. I thank you so much for being here. You are an inspiration to all of us in the community. And it was just so great chatting with you and learning about all the strategies. So
I appreciate you having me on, and you're very sweet. I don't know about all that, but I do love, interacting with everybody and going on this journey with everyone together.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the AI Amplified podcast for entrepreneurs. If you want to learn more about my work, head on over to my website at aicoachingwithangelina.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and share this podcast with a friend. See you next week.